Good morning and welcome. It is an honor to welcome the Governor Shapiro to here at Scranton. I do apologize. We are grateful to have so many distinguished guests here. I'd like to announce them. Mayor Paige Cognetti. Scranton School Board Directors Tom Borthwick, Catherine Fox, Sean McAndrews, Bob Casey, City Council Member Gerald Shermer, Acting Secretary Carol Rowe, Dr. Keating, and other distinguished guests. As the school board president, I would like to thank you all for being here. We are honored that the governor has chosen Scranton to host this press conference. As the board president, I am immensely proud of the accomplishments and the strides the district has made over the years. The accomplishments and strides that we have made would not be possible if not for the increased funding received from the state. Sitting on this board for the past 4 years, I can tell you the importance of funding public education for the benefits of students. When more money is set aside for public education system, it creates a domino effect. It allows us to create programs, hire personnel that benefit the children inside and outside the classrooms. We can improve the existing infrastructure. When schools are properly funded adequately, administrators and directors alike can make sure that students have the best opportunity to learn and to grow, and our teachers to have the resources they need to facilitate that growth. Over the past 4 years, the Scranton School District has been able to instill programs for students, and we have worked with community partners to start and bring back pre-K. This was also the second year in a row that funding that we have received from the state has allowed the board to not raise property taxes, giving relief to our stakeholders. It is an honor and a privilege to serve on this board. Not only am I able to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars, but we're also able to provide and bring back programs for our students that will give them the benefits that other people in other districts have. So at this time, I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to the state for all that they are doing, for the continuous support that we have received, and we look forward to continue working with the numerous community organizations to help continue to build off of where we are. Scranton School District is in a much better place now than it was 4 years ago, and we're deeply grateful for the works and support from the governor and all of our elected officials. So with that said, I'd like to take the moment to introduce the guest speaker, Governor Shapiro.
Thank you very much, Ty. Thank you. Thank you, Ty. And Scranton School District is indeed on the rise. I saw where it was years ago. I see where it is today, and it is because of so many people. And Ty, you've made great contributions together with the other school board members, and I want to say thank you to you and your colleagues. I got to say, I know I'm a little bit late because I was hanging out in first grade with Mrs. Z's class. Mrs. Zaleski, thank you for inviting me in. We got the chance, remember, to make a law while we were there. We learned how a bill becomes a law, and we learned that the first bill you sent to my desk, what did I do? Raise your hand. What did I do? Yeah? Yeah, but the first one you sent to me, did I like it or not? No. So what did I do? It's a V word. I vetoed it. But we didn't give up. We kept trying to work together, right? And in the end, did we make a bill into law? Yeah. And what did we say? 1 hour of extra recess and 30 minutes of extra homework, right? I tried to do away with the homework, but they thought homework was important. And remember, I asked, is Bridget here when we were doing that? Well, this is Bridget right here. Raise your hand. Okay. And Bridget is here with Kyle, and Kyle's here with Jimmy. And the reason I asked, they're waving to you is because they're the ones that write the bills every day. So remember, you asked me, is this now going to be a law for everybody in Pennsylvania? And I said, no, just here at this school. If you want it to be law for everybody in Pennsylvania, you got to go talk to the three of them, because that's what they do every day. All right, so I just want to say, Mrs. Z, thanks for welcoming me. And to our lawmakers here, thank you for the work you do, because the reason why we are here today is because we've been able to come together, Democrat and Republican alike, and do something really, really historic for public education here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And they're a huge reason why. And I wanted today to come back to Scranton to celebrate our achievement and talk a little bit about where we're going to go in the future. I know we've got great leadership here. You heard from Ty a moment ago. I want to thank Dr. Keating, your superintendent. I want to thank Representative Kozarowski, your local state representative who does terrific work. And I want to recognize Dr. Carrie Rowe, the Secretary of Education here in Pennsylvania. She is absolutely awesome, and she's with us here. So just about 10 years ago, before Mrs. Z's class was born, right, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania cut about $1 billion out of public education. And as a result, class sizes got way bigger. We had to cut back on a number of programs. There was less art and music and extracurricular activities, fewer counselors available in our schools, and a whole lot more. It was really unfortunate. As Pennsylvania was moving in the right direction, we hit a massive speed bump, and we were forced to go backwards. My predecessor, Governor Wolf, spent 8 years working together with these three fine legislators and Senator Flynn and others who represent this community to try and dig out of that hole where $1 billion was cut. And over the course of his 8 years as governor, he was able to fill that hole back up. But we all knew that even as that hole was getting filled back up, that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania schools were being chronically underfunded. And more than that, we knew that we were not meeting our constitutional obligation to Mrs. Z's school children and others like them all across Pennsylvania. It's unique that in our Commonwealth, unlike a lot of other states, we have a constitutional provision that requires all students from every zip code get what's called a thorough and efficient education system. We knew that that wasn't the standard being met across northeastern Pennsylvania or across this Commonwealth. In fact, I knew that when I served as your Attorney General. It's one of the reasons why I wrote a legal brief saying that we had to fix this system because it was unconstitutional. I took office 2.5 years ago, and I was the only governor in the whole country with a divided legislature. We had a Senate led by Republicans and a House led by Democrats, which meant for us to get anything done to correct these challenges in our schools, we needed to find ways to work together, Democrats and Republicans alike. Just a few weeks into my term, the Court of Pennsylvania ruled that we actually had an unconstitutional system, that we weren't meeting that Article 3 standard for all of our kids. And instead of hand-wringing, instead of pointing fingers at somebody else, we all agreed, Democrat and Republican, to get around the table and work to address this crisis in public education that we were facing. Because we didn't want to go backwards. We didn't want to shortchange these students. We wanted to be able to invest in them again and make sure that every child of God has an opportunity for success in life. And so we worked together, and we've made historic investments, and we've addressed the funding crisis that exists in Pennsylvania. And so today, here in Scranton at Isaac Tripp Elementary, we are here because this is an example of what is possible when we both work together and when we meet our constitutional obligation to our children. When instead of just shifting money around on a balance sheet, we actually make the critical investments that are needed to help our students achieve success. This wasn't just about writing a check to the school district. It was about making sure those dollars made it to the districts that needed it most for the things that were so needed. As a result of our work together over just the last 2 years, we've made targeted investments to help solve the problems that exist in our schools. Now when students show up for school, they get universal free breakfast in our schools. No child should have to learn on an empty belly. We launched a new initiative to expand after-school programs so kids have somewhere safe and productive to go before their parents get off from work. We expanded access to early childhood education and pre-K, something this district knows a lot about. We've increased funding for special education. I saw some of the amazing special ed teachers on my walk into the gym here today. They are doing the Lord's work, and those kids are so much better off because of them, and we're funding that again at a level that is adequate. We also know that we need more amazing teachers like those who are in this room here. And for so many years, the number of teachers has been declining in Pennsylvania. We're reversing that trend, and for the first time in years, it's growing. And a big reason for that is we came together in a bipartisan manner to pass an historic teacher stipend initiative. Where now, instead of having to take out a loan just to get your student teaching done, we actually are providing student teachers with a $10,000 stipend to help make sure they're taken care of while they're taking care of our kids. That student teacher stipend program is critically important. We also know a number of school districts needed repairs and upgrades, including right here in this district. And so we've invested hundreds of millions of dollars into making sure our schools are safe. They're not leaking on our kids' heads when a rainfall comes. It's not too hot in the summertime. So many other changes are coming to the physical infrastructure of our schools because we all came together and invested hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. I believe that every student should live out their full potential. For some students, it means going to college. For other students, it means going into a union apprenticeship program right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. There should be no wrong path to opportunity and success. And so for a student in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade who's passionate about being a welder, we want to show them the opportunity to be a welder and to make a great living doing that. So we've doubled our investments in STEM and doubled our investments in VOTEC and CTE to ensure that students have pathways to opportunity and success. We've been successful at those targeted investments, and for the first time last year, thanks to all of us coming together, we invested $11 billion of state dollars into public education in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have never, ever done that before. Remember before when I told you that we had lost $1 billion 10 years ago? Well, in just my first 2 years as governor, working with these great lawmakers, we have invested $2 billion of new money just for public education. Remember, a budget isn't just a spreadsheet of a lot of numbers. A budget is a statement of your priorities and your principles. Our priorities, our principles, are making sure those kids and others like them across Pennsylvania get a fair shot. But it's also not just about the dollars. It's about making sure those investments happen in the school districts that need it most. And this is really, really important. There's a formula that has dictated for decades how those dollars get driven out. That formula was set up in a way where the dollars were not going to the districts that were most in need. So we worked together to create something called an adequacy formula, where that new dollar, those $2 billion of new money, would go to the districts that needed it most, including right here in Scranton. We passed that adequacy formula, and now 65% of all the new money that gets appropriated gets sent out through that adequacy formula, which means schools like this are now beginning to get their fair share after so many years of being shortchanged. Over the past 2 years, state funding for Scranton has increased by 40%. In real dollars, that represents a $28.4 million increase from $73 million in 2022 to over $100 million today just for this school district. When Bridget went to Harrisburg, she said she was going to deliver for you, and that's exactly what she's done. First grade, please clap for Bridget Kozarowski. You're going to hear more from Dr. Keating about what those increased investments mean. But I think there's a lot to be proud of here. The way you've invested those new dollars, the way you're able to plan for the future now because you know the Commonwealth is going to have your back, is going to be there with you. Thanks to our historic investments, you've brought back preschool programs, which are incredibly important, so Scranton's youngest learners can get off to a great start. You've repaired and upgraded buildings so that every student, from the youngest among us to the seniors in our high schools, are in safe and secure buildings. You've added school counselors. I met some of the school counselors who are here in the back. This has been such a priority of mine since the time I served as your Attorney General and saw firsthand the mental health needs that our students have. And for the first time ever, we came together and we've put a $200 million fund together to allow school districts like this to hire mental health professionals to be there for our students. We need our students to have the supports they need, and these mental health counselors are doing amazing work. And we need to continue to build that up, not just here, but all across Pennsylvania. You've also been able to bring art and music back to middle school. I think that stuff's super important. We've got to make sure kids are getting around in sound education, and that's a big part of it. You've expanded STEM and you've expanded your technical education. So when these students here at Isaac Tripp look ahead, they can look ahead to a future of possibility. I know that here at Isaac Tripp, you've put real effort into increasing attendance. We know how important that is, including celebrating homerooms with the best attendance. Now, I know a little something about homerooms. Drew Pappas, who works for me, used to be a homeroom mom. I have no idea how the rules allowed that to happen. We do need to look into that. But I know that the work these homerooms are doing are really paying off. Last year, you increased regular attendance by nearly 8%. Your math PSSA scores are up 7%. Science PSSA scores are up 10%. That's huge growth and development, and I know we are hungry for more. And it's not just here in Scranton that we're seeing this kind of progress. We talked about mental health before. 778 schools across Pennsylvania have added mental health supports to their school districts as a result of our work. We talked about breakfast, free breakfast at schools in the morning. This school year we served 90 million free breakfasts. That's 10 million more than the year before. We know that hunger is a real issue in our communities, and we're addressing it when kids get to school. 3,000 students across Pennsylvania today are enrolled in career and technical education courses when there weren't opportunities before. We're putting more teachers in our classrooms for the first time in a while. Consumer Affairs magazine actually just rated us one of the top 5 states in the entire country for quality public education. That's a heck of a lot of progress that we've been able to make together. Now, while we're making progress, I also know we're facing some headwinds, and we got to be real about that. At a time where the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Democrats and Republicans are working together to invest in our kids, the folks in D.C. are trying to take away money from our school districts, trying to make it harder for us to educate our kids. I've already sued the administration in Washington when they tried to block $200 million from going to Pennsylvania schools. And by the way, when I sued them, I won. And I will not be afraid to take on this administration if they undermine our public schools here in Pennsylvania. We're going to continue to build on the foundation we've laid. That's why my budget that we're going to be voting on here in the next few weeks directs a new $526 million to the districts that need it most, like Scranton. We're going to work hard together to get that passed, and we're going to make sure Isaac Tripp gets its fair share of those new dollars. We also are going to make sure free breakfast continues. More mental health counselors get hired. More school repairs can happen. Our special ed teachers get the supports they need to educate our kids, and much, much more. Pennsylvania is on the rise again, and it is in large measure due to the fact that we are investing in our schools, that we are looking at these kids with hope and possibility and helping them fulfill their dreams. I believe every single young person in Pennsylvania should have the freedom to chart their own course and the opportunity to succeed. And to get that freedom, to get that opportunity, they have to get a great quality public education. I'm proud of the progress we've made. We got a lot more work to do. with partners like these, I know we're going to continue to deliver for Scranton and to deliver for the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And when we do, I know we're going to have great people like Dr. Keating there to make sure that those dollars get invested wisely and those kids get looked after. So it's my pleasure to introduce to all of you Dr. Keating to say a few words. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
In my job, you make a lot of speeches, but that's the first time I was introduced by a governor, so I'm going to take that moment right now. Good morning to everyone, to Governor Shapiro, to Acting Secretary Rowe, to Representatives Haddock, Mullins, and Kozarowski, to all the distinguished guests who are here with us today, and to the members of our community. I am beyond proud to stand up here and represent the Scranton School District. It's really a privilege to have you here in our community today to witness the awesome things that are happening and the incredible programs that are happening here in our schools. Scranton is a city that's long steeped in a proud history and a promising future. And I want you to meet a little bit about our students. We're about 9,300 students, and 80% of them, almost 80% of them, qualify as economically disadvantaged. Within that, we have a growing population of English learners, and we speak over 60 languages here in the Scranton School District. We also celebrate the absolute beautiful diversity that enriches our classrooms and our conversations on a daily basis. These are our children, and they deserve nothing less, as the governor said, than a high-quality, future-focused education that prepares them for those jobs and those careers that are coming at us in the future. And that's why every dollar does count for us, so that we can make our students viable and productive members of a 21st century economy. We are so excited that we are bringing back preschool. We started with one pilot class this year with a partnership with ACE of NEPA and Head Start. We're expanding to at least 3 classes next year and hoping to grow that out even further. With the help of the PA SMART grant, we're striving to bring more STEM opportunities to all of our students, and we have a wonderful STEM academy, but to bring equity to all of our buildings to have those STEM opportunities at every grade level. We're increasing our dual enrollment opportunities and our career and technical education experience because we know that hands-on, real-world learning opens the doors for students so that nobody is left behind. We've also deeply invested in the well-being of our students, like the governor said. Thanks to that additional funding, we've been able to hire additional school counselors and licensed social workers to directly address that mental health crisis to meet the needs of our students so that they could come to school and learn. These professionals are critical. Without their help and without their day-to-day support, our kids can't be all that they can be. And when we're looking at all the great things this money has given to us, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about that middle school, the intermediate schedule, where we were able to bring back music, art, health and physical education, family and consumer science, and technology education, because they aren't just extras, they're vital components of a well-rounded education that create those experiences and interests for kids to grow through high school and beyond. We're taking very, very seriously our obligation to provide safe and modern learning environments. Again, with that state support, we've been able to perform extensive environmental remediation across the entire district. This summer alone, we're going to be installing new fire alarm systems in 2 of our buildings. We're upgrading all exterior doors and putting secure vestibules into buildings that don't have them. We're adding interior cameras throughout all of our buildings to ensure that everybody is safe and secure. And we're finishing construction on West Scranton Intermediate School, where our students here at Isaac Tripp go, which was an extensive building project, which was funded through the help of state dollars. And I'm biased, but it's going to be an absolutely incredible building when it's done. We have a student advisory committee that works with the assistant superintendent, and one of the students from West Intermediate spoke directly about how impressed he was because West Intermediate was an open concept school building when they built those in the 60s and 70s with no walls. So we now were able to put walls up to create a better learning environment. We were able to add the water bottle filling stations throughout the building. We were able to do the environmental upgrades like new lighting in that building to make it a welcoming place where kids want to come in and learn and have the ability to learn. And that's not possible without this additional funding. These small building upgrades may seem small, but they're a huge difference in the learning of a child. Governor, personally for me, it's your leadership and the investments of the administration and the folks on this stage and the focus on public education that we're starting to see the promise of adequacy in action. For too long, districts like Scranton have operated under the weight of being historically underfunded, trying to do more with less and competing with people who had far greater resources. Your commitment to changing all of that and your belief that a child's zip code should never determine their educational opportunities is not only commendable, but it's transformative. We're deeply grateful for these resources being directed at districts like ours, and I want you to know that we have a clear, ambitious plan to make every single dollar count. Our investments are targeted, our vision is bold, and our commitment is unwavering to our students. I came back to Scranton about a year ago because I truly believe in this city. I believe in the staff. I believe in the kids who are here, and I believe in what this place can become. I want to thank you for believing in us too, and for the long-term investment that you continue to make in Pennsylvania's future. Without it, we can't do all the great things that you've seen today and the great things that Scranton's going to do in the future. So thank you very, very much, Governor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it is my distinct honor to introduce Representative Bridget Kozarowski.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you to Dr. Keating for that introduction and her kind words. I do want to call something to everybody's attention here. I turned to my colleague, Representative Mullins, a moment ago, and I said, that's kind of cool up there on the school board, on the scoreboard there, number 48, because we've got our number 48 governor here. So I don't know who's, I'm going to say maybe Drew Popish. I'm not sure. You're a very distinguished alum of this school here, but I thought that was very cool. So whosever idea that was, nice work. It's a pleasure to be here at Isaac Tripp Elementary School with all of you. I do represent this district, so it's an honor to be here. But many of you in this room know that I am also a registered nurse. And I was a registered nurse here in this area in Scranton, Pennsylvania for over 30 years, 29. That's 30 sounds awfully long, but that is my previous career. And I know very well that health and wellness is something that happens before patients show up in a clinic. It's really important to take care of yourself. And here in this school, I know that it starts before these kids show up here in our classrooms. And it's really important. And that's why I'm really proud of what we do here in our in the state and with funding that we have to be able to make sure our schools have safe classrooms, to make sure they have full bellies when they come to school, and to make sure the mental health of our students are being met. This is preventative care, and it's something that I am a true believer in, whether it's healthcare in the nursing world or what I get to do here in the State House to take care of these students here at Isaac Tripp. I'm really very eternally grateful for Governor Shapiro for coming here to Scranton and continuing to invest in the foundation of our future, which is the public education system. Under his leadership, and I know it was repeated by the governor, he spoke about this, but I think it's important to repeat these numbers. They're historic. You know, over $11 billion annually in the K through 12 education. $2 billion increase just during his administration alone. He's delivered free breakfast to over 1.7 million students, expanded career and technical education, and helped certify more teachers in the last 7 years than ever before, which we all need teachers. We need nurses, but we also need our teachers. So I'm eternally grateful for those investments. But what matters most to me as a nurse is Governor Shapiro has prioritized student mental health. Over the past 2 years, his administration has delivered $200 million to our schools. And that's for that mental health services. That means more counselors, it means more support, and it means more healing for students across our Commonwealth. This is what progress looks like, and here in Scranton, we are seeing it firsthand. So I want to thank our governor. I want to thank him for showing up. I want to thank him for listening, and I want to thank him for delivering. Let's keep building a future here in Scranton where every child has the care, the tools, and the opportunity to succeed. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for being here. I'm eternally grateful to the governor, our acting secretary of education here, Dr. Keating, our superintendent, my colleagues. We can make Scranton just like Dr. Keating said. We're investing. I see good things in our students, and I see the good things in here, and we are worth it. So thank you, everybody. You're welcome. And with that, I get to introduce the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll take some questions, but I hope it is not lost on folks here the quality leadership this community has. Representative Kozarowski, who represents this district, Senator Flynn, who I know had a scheduling conflict, who represents this district, and everybody works together in this delegation. Representative Mullins and Representative Haddock, everybody works together to make sure this community gets what it needs. So we have a superintendent and community leaders here in our schools that can put those dollars out and make the commitment they need to our kids. We got a great mayor and Mayor Cognetti, congratulations, by the way, who does important work in our community every day, working with us in partnership with the state. There's a lot of good things happening in this community, and a big reason for that is the quality of leadership that we have here today and who work for you every single day. So I want to thank you for that, and with that, we'll take a few questions from the media. Yeah.
So I've recently spoken to many superintendents of rural school districts in the Northeast, and they are drawing down fund balances, but these are the districts that don't qualify for that extra advocacy funding. They are about to cut programs, possibly cut staff, and they worry that they could end up being in the same situation Scranton was in about a decade ago. So what are your plans for those districts?
Well, look, I'm not sure why they're cutting back. We've increased funding for those schools. They get their funding through what's known as the Basic Education Funding Formula, or BEF. It increased over the last 2 years I've served as governor, and it's going to increase again, if I have anything to say over it, in the budget that I proposed. We're going to continue to invest in those schools and make sure they have what they need, and we're going to level out the imbalance that has existed over decades here, where growing districts, poor meaning economically poor, certainly not from the standpoint of educational assessments, but poor districts that had been chronically underfunded are being trying to be made whole again. That was the whole thing that the court said while we were in the midst of an unconstitutional education system. We were both chronically underfunding, and the dollars weren't making it to the districts that need it most. So under my proposal, every single district does better, and those that have been chronically underfunded do even better because they deserve more help trying to dig out from the hole that they were in. Anything else? Yep. You're going to have to speak up.
How do you feel about the progress that's been made here at the Scranton School District with the state's investment, and how do you look to build on that moving forward?
Part of the reason I wanted to be here at Isaac Tripp is to celebrate the progress they've made in the entire Scranton School District has made. I think this is an example we can hold up to the rest of the state as a district that's been underfunded, and look what happens when they finally begin to get their fair share, right? They've got more teachers and smaller class sizes. They're bringing back things like pre-K. They're repairing our school buildings. They're making sure there's more mental health supports for our kids, more educational opportunities in our classrooms. This is exactly what we had in mind when we came together, Democrat and Republican alike, in order to fund our schools adequately, and to meet our constitutional obligation. So this is an example I wanted to hold up to the rest of the Commonwealth about how to get it done.
Your trip to Scranton does come a few days after former President Joe Biden's recent cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to say being here in Scranton?
I just wish, and I've sent wishes along privately to the president, former president, from myself and Lori, my wife Lori, our First Lady. I wish him a full and speedy recovery. He's tough as nails. He's battled health issues in the past, and I'm praying that he'll be able to overcome this latest battle. Anything else?
How do you feel about the progress that you've made so far in the education with getting more funding for education? How do you feel moving forward with the new parameters you're going to be taking?
I feel very confident that we're going to be able to come together again, Democrats and Republicans alike, to continue meeting our obligation to our school districts. Last year when we passed our budget, we all basically agreed to continue doing it for years to come in order to be able to get over the hump that we were, to be able to get over the hurdles that we had and to be in a position where we could meet our constitutional obligation to our kids. I expect Democrats and Republicans to come together over the course of this next month or so as we work on our state budget and continue to invest in districts like this.
I have a question from Dennis Owens as well.
Tell Dennis he's got to show up if he wants to ask me that question.
He asked, is it true that when you spoke to President Biden about his concerns with his health, that First Lady Jill Biden shut down the conversation?
I never spoke to the president about his health, so I don't know what Dennis is talking about.
What's your message to voters who have concerns with your publicly supporting Biden while having private concerns?
Well, I was very clear with the former president that I had real concerns about his political standing in Pennsylvania. I encouraged them to take certain steps to address that. And I was very open and honest about my concerns about his electability. All right? Thank you all. Oh, yeah.
What was it like walking down the hallway seeing students who are benefiting from the actions that have
Man, it was awesome. And it just filled my cup. To go to Mrs. Z's class first and talk to those amazing first graders, to see, these kids that are thriving because of the hard work we do. I mean, when we're in the Capitol, there's a whole lot of lobbyists and powerful people who are walking around every day. You know who's not walking around every day? Mrs. Z's class. And so it's on us every day to remember them when we're doing this work. It's on us every day to remember why we do this. My job as governor is to make sure every Pennsylvanian's got a shot. You want to give people a shot? You want to give them opportunity? Invest in those school kids and give them the opportunity to grow and thrive and flourish. And so for me to then see the fruits of our hard labor, right? The fights that we've waged in order to deliver for them, to see the smiles on their faces, to see the progress that they're making, man, it is so special. It's amazing. I know it's special for Dr. Rowe, who does this work as our Secretary of Education every day. We work really hard to make sure these kids get a fair shot, get opportunity. And so to look them in the eye and see that opportunity come to fruition is really, really special. Okay? Thanks, everybody.